Hey guys, so I know today's video is gonna get a bit harsh, very close to reality, and I'm gonna get a lot of hate in the comments, but I think this is important. And in today's video, we are gonna be discussing why you shouldn't be coming to the UK as a healthcare professional if you are not ready to give your IELTS exam. But before we move ahead, let me remind you, my name is Nikita and I make videos about coming to the UK, getting your HCPC registration, clearing those interviews to land those jobs as healthcare professionals if that is your dream to be in the UK and work. And for any of y'all who need help with any of this, do not forget to subscribe to this channel on YouTube, but also follow me on Instagram. My handle is Physiotherapy in UK. So let's get into the content. So the reason I obviously created this video is because, as many of y'all know, that HCPC conducted its consultation on English language test for international applicants, and as a result of that there were a lot of outcomes that came out through that video. Now again, if you have concerns about what were the outcomes from that consultation, how is it going to impact HCPC's registration for international applicants, do not forget to check out this video. But what I wanted to highlight was many of y'all, many thousands of y'all have gone ahead and tried to do your HCPC registration without providing an English language test. Now that could either be IELTS or the TOEFL, because these were what HCPC was recommending since ages ago. But I know so many of y'all from India or Pakistan have tried clicking that medium of instruction being English and tried to go under the radar with HCPC to get your HCPC registration. And let's be honest, it has worked for n number of y'all, and y'all have successfully landed your registration, and congratulations to you guys. But when you recommend something like this to another person, what you don't realize is that you're actually breaking HCPC's rules, because it has clearly said that you need to provide English language tests. So let me pull up what HCPC's recommendations are right now. So as you can see, HCPC has clearly said on its website that we ask all applicants applying through the international route to confirm their proficiency with English language. This shows the ability to communicate effectively in English and is crucial to working as a healthcare professional in the UK. Now, obviously, they have given some exemptions to this rule, which is below down, saying that if you are a native speaker for whom English is your first language, you can declare that obviously English is your first language, meaning you don't need to provide certification. And if you are a national of Switzerland applying under the mutual recognition under the Swiss Citizen Rights Agreement. Now, why am I highlighting this again? Because like I said, many of y'all have escaped this in the past. But as you know, that from the consultation, obviously, HCPC has now said that if you come from a country where English is not the main language, and the criteria for that is nearly 75% of the population need to be speaking English, then you will have to give your English language test. Now, I know there are so many agencies, so many YouTubers out there telling you, oh, try to slip in your application in this week and you will be granted your HCPC registration even without IELTS. But if you have followed me for the last couple of months or the last couple of years, you would know that right from my first video, I have been saying, give your IELTS, because that is going to ensure that you are not caught by HCPC for English language proficiency at the very least. Now, why is this important? Is because if you do get caught, say for example, you have completed your medium of instruction letter as English and you've ticked the box saying English is your first language, when you go ahead with your HCPC application, if the assessors pick up on the fact that you have not provided your IELTS or TOEFL as per the recommendations for international applicants, then they will ask you to submit your English language test, and you will have only 28 days to do this, because this will be a further information request and HCPC only gives you 28 days to prove that. Now, I know this can be super stressful for people because, let's be honest, the scores for HCPC for international registration with IELTS can be a bit too high. And it's really not that easy, is it, to sort of try and focus in those 28 days while you're juggling a full-time job, while you're maintaining your income, while you're managing your family, in order to land that HCPC registration and get your dream job in the UK. And this is why I always recommend having your HCPC registration through your IELTS. Now, just to make my case a bit more stronger, and before I receive fluff for this again in the comments, let me say that this is my personal opinion. You can obviously go ahead and listen to whoever you want to, but I recommend using IELTS. Now, again, though, like I said, just to strengthen my case further, I'm going to pull up one of my chats from Instagram, which I just received this evening, where it says that this person is obviously in the UK right now and is working as a band 4 because he's come on student visa. And he says that I need your help with something. I am currently working as a band 4 senior therapist. I have applied for HCPC registration. They have asked me for proof of my English language proficiency. However, I have completed my master's degree and also have a letter from my band 8. Do you think I can submit that instead? Now, in the spirit of true honesty, I'm going to tell you exactly what I responded to this person, where I went on to highlight that obviously they can feel free to use their master's degree and their sort of letter from their band-aid in support of saying that, yes, I have the sort of English language requirements that you need, even though I don't have an official IELTS. But really, it's up to HCPC to accept that. And again, because it has not stated anywhere on the website that, again, if you complete your master's in the UK, your IELTS requirement is waived off. Or if you have a letter from your band 7 or band 8 working in the NHS, then your IELTS requirement is waived off. Because it's not clearly said, it's really a 50-50% chance of whether they will accept this person's recommendations of this master's degree and this letter from their band 8. Now, in that case, what will happen is, obviously they will submit all of the documents to HCPC. HCPC will take another few months to review it, get back to them saying if it's a positive outcome or if not. And if it is not a positive outcome, the most likely thing that this person will have to do is give their IELTS at that point if they want to proceed with their HCPC registration, which I personally would again say that is going to be a massive waste of time. It's going to impact this person's ability to land a band 5 role, because like I've said before, if you need any role that is band 5 level or above, you need your HCPC registration. So yes, that goes on to clearly say that even if you're coming to the UK to do your master's, and you're using your master's degree as a way to waive off that HCPC registration requirement with the IELTS, it might not be the best thing, because HCPC has not mentioned this on their official website. And I'll again leave the link for the international guidance for HCPC in the description below, so feel free to check that out. Now let's come back to the second case that I want to share with you, and this is something that I have seen personally. People have spoken about this. So when I started working in my workplace in London, and then obviously I moved on to a couple of other places, a lot of people were surprised that, as an Indian, as somebody coming from India, I knew to speak English and I was actually fluent at it. And I was like, oh, that's not surprising at all. I have been speaking English since, I was a child. My entire formal education is English and blah, blah, blah. But what was really hard is that they have explained proper horror stories to me, where they've done international recruitment for a person in a band 5 or a band 6 level role. And this person, once they've come as, a band 5 or a band 6 in this trust and have been working, they've realized that their English language is not up to the requirements. Now, obviously, as you know, the entire UK mostly speaks English, unless you're in Cardiff or Wales, where they might choose to speak Welsh or, some other place. But majority, everybody sort of generally speaks English. And if you are not able to communicate with others, and again, physiotherapist, occupational therapist, or any of the other professions regulated by HCPC, if you're not able to communicate others using basic English, just imagine how hard it is going to be for you to, get those roles, or how hard it is going to be for you to perform those roles. And one of the key impact that is going to have is it might extend your probation period, because even though you have all of these amazing clinical skills, you might not be able to demonstrate them because you're finding the language really tough. And B, if that trust has not had a good experience with international recruitment, where obviously you as a candidate have not been able to sort of demonstrate your ability to speak English and communicate in English with your patients, then it's going to create a bad impact for all future recruitment of international healthcare staff within that NHS trust for that particular team. And again, that is something I would say, please do not take lightly, because again, it not only ruins your chances of landing the role, but it's going to impact everybody else who comes after you. And like I said before, studying for the IELTS can be very stressful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share these few YouTube channels right here. I have personally used them when I was preparing for IELTS, but other than these free YouTube channels, I would also recommend taking on English language tests, like for example, practicing them online. This is another website that I used when I was sort of trying to give my IELTS. Another top tip to share with you here is start watching English TV series. I know it sounds completely lame and terribly stupid, but you will not believe the number of different accents that are going on in the world. So, for example, I was not able to pick out the fact that the UK accent was very different from the US accent. And I know I sound completely stupid at this point, and I will accept that, but I didn't. And this is the reason why, if you keep watching shows from all over the world, you will start developing that understanding. And say, for example, you do land that job in the UK, you'll find it much easier to understand and communicate and converse with people around. And that creates such a good impact, guys. It will take the mental stress off you, because like I said, if you are not able to perform in that job, please do not be under the assumption that just because the NHS trust has given you a work visa, they are going to keep you in the job if you're not able to speak English. Because if you're not able to speak English, the first thing they're going to do is try and extend your probation period. But if worse comes to worse, they are going to have to take a call on if you are even qualified enough to do the job, especially if you can't speak English. So yes, please consider all of this before you come to the UK and say that I'm going to try to come to the UK without giving my IELTS because I cannot get the scores that are required. And that's it. That was my rant for today's video, guys. I do apologize if, it's been a bit harsh, but if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and take care.